On April 8, 2009, Captain Richard Phillips guided the MV Maersk Alabama through choppy waters off Somalia's coast, busy working at his control station while watching the sea in front of him. As he checked the radar and their location, he saw some boats far away on the water, not knowing danger was coming. Captain Richard Phillips wasn't worried about them at first, thinking they were just local fishermen from Somalia. But when the boats came closer, moving together like they had a plan, his years of sailing experience told him something was wrong. "Get everyone on deck now," Captain Richard Phillips yelled over the ship's loudspeaker. Armed pirates ready for battle quickly headed toward the cargo ship. They had no clue that Captain Richard Phillips was getting ready to surprise them. Earlier that morning, the sun rose over calm waters, making the MV Maersk Alabama shine like gold as it moved smoothly through the sea. The ship was carrying food and farming supplies for the World Food Program, plus valuable cargo like electronics and other items. Captain Richard Phillips, a skilled sailor who had worked on ships for many years, had done his usual safety checks while talking happily with his crew. It looked like just another normal day on their journey with nothing to worry about, until he spotted two boats in the distance. At first, he thought they were harmless, Somali fishermen, which was common to see in these waters. But as the boats got closer, Phillips realized his fears were correct. Phillips knew that this shipping path went through dangerous waters. Standing on the ship's bridge, seeing armed men on the fast-moving boats made his blood run cold. Being a seasoned sailor, Captain Richard Phillips jumped into action right away. His hands moved fast across the control board, quickly changing the ship's course and speed. He gave sharp orders to his crew, telling them to get ready for escape moves. "Hard to starboard. All engines full ahead," Phillips commanded. Phillips's quick thinking and expert sailing helped the ship smartly dodge the two coming boats. As the pirates got closer, Phillips pushed the ship as fast as it would go, cutting through the waves with professional skill. The pirate boats darted back and forth, trying to attack the ship from both sides. Even though they chased without stopping, Phillips stayed calm on the outside. While his mind worked fast with plans, he used the ship's big size to help him, creating large waves to make the smaller pirate boats rock dangerously. The waves smashed against the ship's side, each turn making a strong wall against the attackers. But just when he began to feel a bit hopeful, a sudden loud crash rang through the ship's hull. Phillips's heart sank. He hadn't noticed a third boat hiding where he couldn't see it. The reality hit him like a giant wave. The pirates had outsmarted him at his own game. In just seconds, armed men from the third boat grabbed onto the ship's side, climbing up like hungry wild animals. Captain Richard Phillips had guns on the ship to defend himself and his crew. But he really didn't want this to turn into a gunfight. He knew the smartest move was to surrender, let the pirates take over the MV Maersk Alabama, and let his bosses handle the situation later. Time was running short as the pirates got even closer to the ship's edge. Suddenly, in the middle of all the confusion, Phillips came up with an idea, and he couldn't help but grin. "If these pirates want to mess with my ship, they're going to get more than they expected," he whispered to himself. After all, Phillips knew the MV Maersk Alabama better than anyone else. Captain Richard Phillips quickly grabbed the microphone and shouted a message over the speakers. He ordered every crew member to go to the dining hall below deck. He also told them that pirates were boarding the ship, hoping his warning came in time. After that, he quickly stopped the ship's engines and shut off all the ship's power, leaving it completely dark and floating helplessly in the ocean, exactly what Phillips wanted. As the crew followed his orders and went to the dining hall, the pirates climbed onto the ship. There were 4 of them, carrying old AK-47 rifles. Even though they seemed messy and unorganized, their sneaky way of getting on board showed this wasn't their first time. But the MV Maersk Alabama was much bigger than any ship they had ever tried to take before. Not sure where to begin, the pirates stood around confused. Pirate Abduwali Muse, their leader, made a quick plan. They wanted to find the most valuable things that were easy to carry. One pirate suggested calling for backup, but Abduwali Muse said no. "We don't need anyone else," Muse told his crew firmly. "I don't trust other pirates, and I barely trust you guys." They knew other pirates would probably steal the best items for themselves. This was a job for just the four of them. To win, they needed to catch some crew members who knew how the ship was set up, but the entire MV Maersk Alabama was covered in weird silence. The pirates looked at each other tiredly, feeling that this wasn't going to be simple at all. Captain Richard Phillips had stayed in the control room, watching their movements, and felt better when they split up. This division would make his fight back easier. He could handle the pair first, then deal with the group of three. Phillips called his 2 second-in-command officers on the radio, telling them to lock the crew in the dining hall and then meet him on the bridge. "Lock down the crew and get up here fast," Phillips radioed. "We're going to take back our ship." The commanding officers arrived quickly, ready to follow the plan. The pirates had no idea their future was being decided. The officers quickly left to set up the trap. Meanwhile, the 2 pirates on deck became more and more worried, their fear of an attack growing with each unsure step. As the 2 pirates sneaked along the ship, their confidence got weaker. The huge ship's silence was scary. In the control room, Captain Richard Phillips and Shane Murphy quickly made a plan. They decided to use the ship's complicated layout, setting up a trap in the cargo area. In the poorly lit cargo area, Phillips's crew started working quietly. They hung up cargo nets and put in hidden alarms, making a non-deadly trap around a carefully picked container. Phillips watched as the 2 nervous pirates, Naji and Bilal, held their AK-47s tightly and moved toward the sound, thinking the rattling noise was hiding crew members. As they got closer to the sound, greed temporarily beat caution. They looked into the container, their eyes getting wide with amazement at the sight of shiny new smartphones. These expensive devices promised them wealth far beyond their wildest dreams. Hidden from view, Phillips and his team watched the pirates through a small opening. They waited for the perfect moment to strike, setting the trap with careful attention. The pirates, now completely focused on their stolen treasure, became more and more unaware of the coming danger. Their caution disappeared in their excitement. The valuable electronics and smartphones from the World Food Program shipment clouded their thinking. Their whispers echoed in the cargo area, not knowing that Phillips and his crew were listening. "Look at all these phones," Naji whispered excitedly to Bilal. "We're going to be rich." Captain Richard Phillips, steady at the trap's controls, watched every move from his hiding spot. Focused on the stolen goods, the pirates missed small signs of the trap. A door clicked shut behind them without being noticed. With a silent signal from Phillips, the trap was set off. The container doors slammed shut, locking Naji and Bilal inside. Celebration turned to panic as they realized they were trapped. "Help! Get us out of here!" they screamed from inside the container. Phillips's team breathed out in relief, one threat eliminated. But the mission was far from over. In the dining hall, Phillips gathered his crew and explained the next steps. Calm but urgent, he reminded them that staying alert was important. Going back to the control room, he quickly turned off all communications inside the container, making sure no warning would reach the others. On the security monitors, Captain Abduwali Muse and his remaining crew were visible. Their fuzzy images showed every move. Phillips studied them closely, staying one step ahead. Calling his team together again, he stressed the need for silence and stealth. Every choice now could mean life or death. He reached for the radio and contacted the Coast Guard. His voice steady, he explained their situation. "This is Captain Phillips of the merchant vessel. We have secured 2 pirates, but 3 more are still active and armed on board." 2 pirates secured, the rest still active and armed. The line crackled with static as he gave every important detail. After the message was sent, silence followed. All eyes stayed on the radio, waiting. Though they had called for help, Phillips knew they couldn't depend only on backup. The ship was hours from the nearest coast, and anything could happen in the meantime. Soon, the radio buzzed. The Coast Guard responded, acknowledging the danger and preparing a careful boarding plan. Their words gave hope, but time was still important. Phillips stayed sharp, continuing to watch Abduwali Muse's movements on the ship. Meanwhile, Abduwali Muse led his crew through the ship's hallways. The absence of Naji and Bilal was disturbing. Worried, he signaled his men to move quietly, checking each room with growing unease. The silence pressed in on them. With each empty space, the sense of danger got stronger. Tension grew as the pirates realized something was wrong. Nervous looks were exchanged. Abduwali Muse's mind raced, suspecting they were being watched. He moved with greater caution, knowing one wrong step could lead to disaster. From the control room, Phillips watched closely, studying Abduwali Muse's approach. Outsmarting him would require patience and strategy. He briefed his crew in quiet tones. Abduwali Muse was dangerous and unpredictable. They couldn't afford mistakes. Back in the hallways, Abduwali Muse's rising frustration exploded. In a burst of anger, he fired his weapon into the ceiling, the noise echoing through the ship. "Where is everyone?" he shouted angrily. "Come out now or we'll burn this ship down." Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. His men did what he did, firing their guns up in the air. They tried to force the ship's crew to come out, but this only showed where they were hiding. Now everyone could see how exposed and weak they had become. Captain Abduwali Muse's voice rang out through the ship's corridors, yelling angry threats that got louder and scarier. His frightening words made everyone more nervous, and the big ship started to feel like a tiny trapped space. "Come out now, or we'll find you," Muse screamed down the hallway. In the control room, Phillips stayed cool and collected. He watched the security cameras and spoke clearly to his team, telling them what to do. Even though everything around him was getting more dangerous and crazy, he kept his voice steady and strong. Phillips made up his mind to stop more fighting by facing Abduwali Muse by himself. It was dangerous, but he thought talking to the pirate leader face to face might give them more time and keep his crew safe. His team was obviously scared and worried, but they believed in what Phillips was doing. "Captain, are you sure about this?" one crew member asked nervously. "I have to try." Phillips replied firmly, "Keep securing the ship while I handle this." They kept making the ship safe while Phillips got ready with things that wouldn't kill anyone, a stun gun and handcuffs. He chose to be smart instead of using deadly force. Phillips moved quietly through the ship toward where he last knew Abduwali Muse was hiding. He took each step very carefully, and when he turned a corner, he came face to face with Abduwali Muse and his pirates. The pirates pointed their guns at him, but Phillips didn't move or show fear. When they saw how confident he was, the pirates weren't sure what to do. Abduwali Muse looked at Phillips closely, not trusting him but also curious about what he would do. Phillips had a plan. He pretended to give up and offered to show them where the ship's most expensive stuff was hidden. He kept his real plan secret behind his calm act of surrender. "Listen, I don't want anyone to get hurt here," Phillips said, putting his hands up in the air. "I can take you to where we keep the really expensive cargo." Abduwali Muse wanted the valuable things so badly that he stopped being suspicious, and he said yes, but he was still careful. "You better not be lying to us, Captain," Muse said in a threatening voice. "Show us the way, but don't try anything stupid." Phillips led them through the confusing maze of boxes and containers, getting closer to his trap while staying calm and controlled. Finally, they got to a container that was full of shiny jewelry that sparkled in the light. The pirates got distracted and excited, and they started stuffing their bags with the treasure. Abduwali Muse's attention moved to another container nearby that had a sign saying it contained expensive electronics. When he bent over to look inside, Phillips made his move. With a powerful shove, he pushed Abduwali Muse so he fell into a hidden trap that Phillips had prepared. "Now," Phillips shouted. Right away, Phillips's crew jumped out from where they were hiding and sprang into action. The other pirates were completely surprised and shocked, and they didn't have time to fight back or escape. The crew worked together perfectly to capture them, and it was fast and effective. In just a few minutes, the crew had caught and tied up all of them. "We got them all!" Shane Murphy yelled happily as they finished tying up the last pirate. With the deck now under their control, Phillips told his crew to search the entire ship to make sure there were no more threats or dangers. They looked in every single room, locked all the doors, and made sure every crew member was safe and okay. Phillips went around and personally checked on each member of his team, talking to them and trying to make them feel better as things slowly got back to normal. Not everyone on the crew was completely happy with how Phillips had handled the scary situation, and some of them quietly said that the whole dangerous mess could have been avoided completely. "I'm not sure this was the right way to handle it," one crew member muttered to another. "We could have been killed." "At least we're all alive," his colleague responded. The captain did what he thought was best. Once Phillips was sure that everyone was accounted for and safe, he went back to the bridge to take control of the ship. Far away on the horizon, he could see the Coast Guard cutter ship coming toward them, and when the crew saw it approaching, they felt a huge sense of relief wash over them. Phillips got the ship ready for the Coast Guard to take over the situation. When the Coast Guard officers came on board, Phillips took them to where they were keeping the captured pirates, including Abduwali Muse, who was still shocked and confused about being caught. Before the Coast Guard took the pirates away, Phillips made a serious and heartfelt request to the officers. "These men did commit serious crimes," he said with conviction, "but you have to understand that many of them do this because they're desperate and living in terrible poverty. I'm asking you to please show them some mercy and understanding." The officers nodded their heads, showing they understood what Phillips was saying, and then they started asking the pirates questions. They told the crew how brave they were and praised the smart plan they used to solve such a dangerous crisis. "You and your crew showed real courage out there, Captain," the lead Coast Guard officer said. "Your strategy saved lives." "Thank you, officer. We just did what we had to do," Phillips replied modestly. With the pirates taken away and the danger completely gone, the MV Maersk Alabama started moving again on its planned route. Even though the immediate threat was over, Phillips knew that people would ask tough questions about why the shipping company decided to sail so close to waters where pirates were known to attack ships. Some crew members were already talking about possibly taking legal action against the company for putting them in unnecessary danger. "The company should have known better," one crew member said angrily. "They put our lives at risk for profit." "We need to hold them accountable," another agreed. This could have been avoided. A new feeling of togetherness and quiet strength spread among Phillips and his crew, created through the terrible storm of danger they had survived together. Though they knew the aftermath would bring its own set of challenges and difficulties. Did you like this story? If pirates stormed your ship, would you stand your ground or give up right away? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. True courage often means standing up for others, even when fear takes hold. Thanks a lot for tuning in. See you in the next video, and have an amazing day.